Hello and welcome back to Man Does Mounjaro, my channel where I discuss my journey and all my experiences taking Mounjaro. So it's been mentioned to me, I've had a couple of comments now saying, could you do a beginner's guide to taking Mounjaro? So that's exactly what I'm going to attempt to do today. So the first thing you need to decide is, are you going to go private or are you going to try and get it on the NHS? This is all assuming you're in the UK. Now, from what I gather, the NHS waiting lists are horrific at the moment, and you've got to have other issues apart from being overweight, be that diabetes or other issues. And I'll try and get a list and pop it on the screen so we can all see it. I've also been told from a friend of mine that's tried to get it off the NHS that the waiting lists for it are horrific as well, and we're talking years rather than weeks or months. So the best option in the UK is probably to go private. Now, once you start searching for who you can get it off privately, there's hundreds and hundreds of companies. Now, it would seem like most people start with MedExpress, and that's the same company I started with. It's not as straightforward as just filling in the online form and saying, can I have some Mounjaro, please? You do have to jump through a few hoops. Before it gets prescribed to you. And albeit you are going private, it is a prescription. You're not just buying it off the shelf. You have to prove that you need it. So that brings me on to, how do you prove you need it? So I've been with two suppliers now. I've been with MedExpress, who I started with, and I'm now with Zava. Both companies use a similar sort of method, I guess. So they both involve sending photos. You need to wear tight-fitting clothes, so you're proving that you're overweight. The Zava one's slightly different, where you send it's almost like a video. So you send 4 different profiles: arms up, arms down, sideways, backwards, and all the rest of it. And that's all done on their website via sort of automated system. So you fill in medical forms. It'll ask you a load of questions. Have you got this issue? Have you got that issue? You then do the photos or the video and you send it in to their doctors. Now, their doctors then assess your application. You fill in your weight, you fill in your height, they work out your BMI, and they then decide whether you are allowed to order that medication, that prescription medication. Your application then gets reviewed. You'll get an email from their doctor who will let you know whether it's been approved or not, and then you get to receive your first Mounjaro pen. You then more than likely do exactly what I did. When it arrives, you put it in the fridge and you think, when am I going to take this? So I waited a little while before I took my first dose because I was scared, I guess. So it stayed in the fridge for a little while, and then I decided, right, now I'm going to go for it. Now, I took my first dose on a Wednesday, knowing full well, or hoping that the suppression would then be highest at the weekend, which is when I would probably eat the most. Now, I'm talking about Mounjaro, not Wegovy or any of the others, or Ozempic or any of the other injections, purely Mounjaro, because that's the only one I've used. Now, when you order, you're only going to be allowed to order 2.5 milligrams. So you'll place your order, it'll get approved, it'll be paid for, and then a few days later, you'll receive your package. Now, in your package, which is fully refrigerated with ice packs, you're going to receive your pen with your Mounjaro in it, your 2.5 milligram pen. You're going to receive a little packet of needles that go onto the pen, and some medicated wipes. Now, 2.5 milligram is your starting dose. That's all you're going to be allowed to order. The idea is you do 2.5 milligrams for a month, so that's 4 injections, and you're going to take one of these injections every week. Now, I always try to take it on the same day, but from the information I've seen, it's not that important, and you can go a day at either side. Like I said, that one pen gives you a 4 weeks worth of injections. If everything's going well, then you move up the doses. 2.5 milligram is your starting dose. It's basically, my understanding is to get you used to taking the medication. Now you've ordered Mounjaro, now you've got to decide when you're going to take it. Now, as I previously stated, I take mine on a Wednesday. I'm looking for maximum suppression over the weekend. Now, I'm not going to go into the intricacies of actually taking the injection because I don't want to get it wrong for anyone. When you open up your pack, you'll find full instructions on how to prime the needle, how to get rid of any air in the needle, how many clicks you need to do, and that sort of stuff. I don't feel I have the authority to talk people through that. So the best advice I can give is to follow the instructions that come with your injection. Now, if you're anything like me, the food suppression, the noise will be immediate. Mine was the next day. So if all's well and with minimal side effects, you're good to go. Now, you're going to be encouraged after 4 weeks by your supplier to go up the dose. Now, I've ignored that, but you will get a lot of emails when you're due to order asking you to go up the doses. Now, I think, and might be wrong, I think this is because they make more money on the larger doses. I'm not going to go into prices on this video because the prices are due to rise quite significantly in the next sort of week or so. But I've stayed on the lower doses. I've done 15 or 16 jabs now, so we're 4 months in, and I've not felt the need to go above 3.75 milligrams. So my advice would be to stay on the lower doses whilst you can. If you're losing weight, then you really don't need to go up the doses. I've seen people flying up the doses, and some people complaining, making themselves quite unwell. You don't need to. If you're losing weight, stay on the lower doses while you can. The scales don't lie. Talking of scales, you are going to have to update your supplier with your weight and measurements as well. They do want progress reports. It's also worth noting some of the advice that I was given before I started Mounjaro by a friend that was using Mounjaro, and his advice was make sure you drink enough. So you need to get the fluids inside you, you need to up your protein, and you need to exercise as well. I get quite a few comments down in my videos saying, oh, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that, all you need to do is eat less and exercise more. Yeah, I know that. And that's what we're working towards, isn't it? So that's my beginner's guide to Mounjaro. If you are considering taking the injections, good luck with your journey. And if you've got any questions, feel free to ask them down below in the comments. I'd also like to think if you've got this far, you'd like this video and maybe subscribe to my channel. I've lost over £50 now using Mounjaro, and it's been an absolute game changer for me. And I'm hoping it really is for you too. Thanks for watching.